The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of Well-Being with CJ Horrell. These perspectives are respectfully held and are shared for information and reflective purposes only. They're not intended as a substitute for professional care, nor should they be used in place of advice from your clinician, therapist, or health provider who understands the specific details of your personal situation. As for my own contributions, what I share reflects the most truthful viewpoint I can offer at the time of this recording. As the Holy Spirit continues to reveal deeper understanding, I reserve the freedom to revise, expand, or even contradict previous perspectives because growth is part of the journey.
Welcome to Well-Being with CJ Harrell. Candid conversations about life, health, and faith that encourage us to pursue our best selves. Here's CJ.
Some stories are wrapped up in silence, not because there's nothing to say, but because the pain runs so deep it's hard to find the words. This episode is about breaking that silence. Today I'm joined by a childhood friend who endured physical abuse at the hands of someone who should have been a protector, someone who claimed faith but used it as a mask. It's a hard story, but it's also one of survival, courage, and healing. Now a husband, father, and a man rebuilding from the ashes, this journey reminds us that even the deepest wounds can become doors to transformation. This is not just a story of pain, it's a story of rising. In today's episode, Surviving the Silence. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to another edition of Well-Being with CJ Horrell, and I am CJ. With me today is Dylan Balgobin. That's his name. He is joining me virtually, and this is going to be a really interesting discussion today. But before we dive into all of that, welcome, Dylan. Are you there? I mean, I can see you,
Hey
but
CJ.
I can
Hey
hear
CJ,
you.
how's it going?
It is going, man. Listen, I am so excited to have you on today. Really. We have been working on this,
I
what, for 20 years? No, 30, 40, 50, 60? No,
I mean,
we ain't that old. Neither of us. I'm older
wait,
than
I
him.
am
And
not that old. I am
Hey,
definitely not that
you
old. I
calling me
can't
old?
speak for you.
You calling me old, Dylan? I am older
I
than
mean,
you,
I
but
think
please.
you are one of my elders.
What? Elder brother, you mean?
Yes, okay, let's use that term.
Ah, Dylan, as you can tell, Dylan is an old friend of mine. I don't want to call him a friend. He's my brother. He's my little
Yeah.
brother. My late mom and his dad were best friends. And as long as I could remember, I remember our families always hanging out together. And, uh,
Yep.
and of course, beyond that, Dylan and I have shared many things. I'm thinking specifically about music. Again, music. Those who've been listening
Absolutely.
to the podcast know that some of my most meaningful connections are around music. What is your earliest memory of us, Dylan?
Darius coming home to one day from primary school. I don't think I was in primary school just yet. I was just to coming up to the age of about five. So he was probably in second year. And he came and he's like, Mommy, 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 there's a boy in the school and he's called Sorrel. And my mom was like, What? Yes, 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 Mommy, his name is Sorrel. So Mommy was very confused by this. And when my dad came home, she was telling her, and he was like, "Oh, do you mean Cyril?" And Darius was like, "No, I'm sure it's Cyril," because obviously he was what 6.5 going on 7 at the time.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't tell him anything. So yeah, that was the first memory of you guys, of you and your name. And then I think we met you guys a couple months after that at your house. And I was just, I think I was overwhelmed. One, by the size of the house, because obviously we lived, well, not obviously, but I guess for your listeners, we lived in a very modest accommodation on the campus.
Hmm.
Um, when we saw your house, it was one of the first times in my life that I had seen an actual house where there was like a gate and stuff to get into the house. So it was pretty a pretty special event kind of thing for me. And obviously we were dressed up in like our Saturday best because we were going to visit people, as you know, the Caribbean kind of lifestyle is, well,
Hmm.
or was back in those days.
Hmm.
We're going to visit people, so you have to wear your best. But it was the laughter, and I think it was the fun that you guys were having and the inclusivity that I felt. Like you guys played with us, and even though you were old, I was like, oh, they're old and they want to play with us. So yeah, that was like my
Wow.
first memory of you guys.
I do not remember that. I do not remember that. And for those listening, listen, we did not live in a mansion, okay? Because this gate, I thinking about some gate, and then you have to, check through security, and then you have to drive in. I don't recall any of that. Y- You sure? You sure this wasn't like some
I
hall
mean, it
somewhere
wasn't
that we?
Balsane, but but it was impressive in my little four
Yes,
slash
in
5 year
your
old
yeah,
brain.
yeah.
It was a huge thing,
Hmm.
you know, and it was the build up to it as well. Um, because my dad worked with Anthony Myrtle, and the way that they met was just in my in my interpretation of it, it was just preordained that they would meet the way that they did, and our families would be intertwined throughout all of our lives, and then we would drift apart and come back, because life happens. So I just think the whole thing was very, very special.
Well, it sounds beautiful, man. That is special. No, it is. It is. Yeah, thanks for sharing that because I never knew that. I never knew this. So thanks for sharing that. Um,
That's right.
so okay. There's so many things that I could ask you, but I really want to make sure that I leave time for the topic at hand. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely you have to come back. Now, of course, music connected us as well. Dylan
Yes.
was a part of my sister and I, our group. He did background vocals, and sometimes I guess sang some solo parts every now and then too. And
Hmm.
you've gone on to do some great things in music. You just completed a musical. And you're in
I
the UK.
have,
By the way,
yes.
he's in the UK, all right? I'm in Canada. He's in the UK. We're joining via technology. Tell me about this musical. I'm really excited about how so many of us that were together during that time have gone on to do some really fascinating things in music.
Mm.
So tell me about the musical, man.
So yeah, like this is the first real musical that I did since coming to the UK. And I did Jesus Christ Superstar in Trinidad,
Right.
and that won a number of Kasika Awards from costume design. It ran for 2 years. Um, and I never thought it was something that I would get into
Hmm.
because it was just a very random thing. But this most recent one, it was it's called Spamalot. It's a comedy, and it was created by Monty Python based on the Holy Grail stuff. So it is very much British comedy and British
Hmm.
humor.
Hmm.
It follows the life and the journey of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table as they go through finding the Holy Grail. My role was a gay prince,
Okay.
and
Interesting.
it was it was very interesting because I had to dig deep to put that out into the world.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, so I am naturally more camp, more effeminate than the average male, and we'll get into that story later in this podcast. But to present that purposefully on stage was a huge thing for me
Mm-hmm.
because of my upbringing, because of our upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the trauma around it, and because of the stigma around um, gays and homosexuality and anything that is not, and I use normal in air quotes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of what society defined as normal at that time. So I had to embrace the stupid because it's a comedy. You can't be too serious about it. But at the same time, the internal battle that was going on to be that flamboyant on stage and be as free as it was incredible. It was
Mm-hmm.
an incredible experience.
Well, sometimes when I'm interviewing someone, I know a little bit of what they're doing, but I try not to
Mhm.
know too much so that I can be as surprised. So I knew you were
Okay.
doing the musical. I saw some pictures in you with you in costume and stuff. It was really,
Yes.
it looked really fascinating, really interesting. But when you said what you said, I was surprised. Not surprised necessarily the role, but surprised in the sense that I'm already, how my mind works sometimes. I'm already
Yep.
seeing you doing, like I can imagine this was hilarious. Whatever your role was, I'm sure it was, because you're a very good actor, one. Um,
Thank you.
you're very funny. You have a very interesting sense of humor. You will randomly say things and do things and have me just falling out.
Mhm.
So yeah, that
Mhm.
must have been lots of fun, man.
It was lots of fun, and it was also quite intimidating because I joined this company in September last year, and they are all extremely talented. Like
Hmm.
their acting is like I am intimidated with acting with them. Now I know what I bring to the table musically and vocally
Yeah.
after the years that I've spent honing my craft. So I understand my voice at this point. So that was not the issue. The issue was the acting and the allowing myself to build that character. But yeah, I think it was a very good challenge. And the reviews have come out and they were great. Um, so yeah.
So I'll ask one more question on this before we move
Mhm.
into you know what I want to talk about today. Uh, are you going to be doing anything else? Is this like the first of many musicals?
Yeah. So it's a musical performing company that I'm with, called
Okay.
Perform Chepstow. And the next show that they are doing is Sister Act, and that's in
Ooh,
February. So yes, I may be auditioning for that, and then we'll see what happens.
nice. Well, I'll be following you, sir. I will be
Yay!
following, and
Good.
yeah, maybe when I finally make it to the UK, I'll get to see you live, man. Say, I know him.
Yes.
I know, guys. I know him. Like my mom would probably do if she was in the audience. So she'd just turn around. Yeah, that's my son.
Yes.
Okay, so my first question on the topic, you've kind of dove into this a little bit, and so
Mm,
give you room to perhaps share something else. You endured some things that no child should endure in the form of abuse.
hmm.
And of course, we're not going to get all up in your business and get into all the details, but before that period, what do you remember most about your childhood?
Freedom
Mm.
would be the one thing that I remember because we grew up on this campus in Trinidad. It was very sheltered in terms of it was gated. You couldn't access the campus without the coming through the gates or anything like that. And I remember the freedom to leave the house and to go and play wherever we wanted to play. So it was playing in front of that music room or in the home economics room, which was right next to the house, or
Hmm.
going to the basketball court, or going up to the estate and just playing with my friends who all grew up there as well. So yeah, freedom would be the way I would describe that.
Hmm. Yeah, it was it is, I guess. It is an interesting space. I remember when my granddad was the dean at one time,
All
and
right.
yeah, he was the dean, and so he lived in the dean's house.
Oh
And so
yeah.
when I was going to the elementary school, I would love after school to just roam because I wasn't
To explore.
necessarily
Yes.
going home right away. Sometimes I would sleep
Yeah.
there, and
Mm,
yes, so many places to explore.
yep.
It was awesome, man. What made you decide? Now, of course, I have in our conversations, I've asked you things, and you even did it just before the pod, just before we put on the mic. I've asked you things about you and talking about you, and then I would have a moment where, you know, I'm moved by something you say, or I'm affected by something you said. Then you put on your coaching hat, your therapist hat. Not that he is, okay, guys, but in some ways he's given me some therapy. And then you would put on your hat and you would say, "Oh, well, CJ, why is that? Let's look at that a little bit. Why why did you decide this, you know, despite me probing, that now is a good time to share a little bit about this story?"
I think it heals me. Like the more that I share it, it heals me. There's a
Hmm.
little part of me that becomes whole. And yes, there is something to be said for the always bringing up the experiences that you have and the recycling of the trauma.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's what happens because the more that I share this, the more of it is that is released from my body. And I
Hmm.
believe that trauma is stored in the body.
Hmm.
And if there is no release for it, then that's where we get these chronic illnesses from. Um, so sharing, if it can help one person to just
Hmm.
not be or stay in a headspace that I have found myself in, then that is job done. If
Hmm.
it could help somebody, then one person, then that's job done. Because it's not a great story.
Hmm.
It's my story, but it was also my blessing. And it's something that I absolutely needed to go through to make me this person that I am today.
Hmm. Wow. Thanks for saying that because yeah, I think the way you frame that is beautiful because there's so many things that we carry that we need
Mm.
to release. When did you first realize that what was happening to you, as we dive into the experience itself, wasn't normal, wasn't okay?
When I was told that I couldn't tell anybody else about it,
Hmm.
remember, this is our secret. Those were the kinds of words that were being used. Don't bring anybody else. Don't tell your parents. Um, this is between you and me, which sounds very kind of. It's not a cliche. It sounds very much in line with stories that I have heard since I've been a grown up and have listened to other experiences such as this. Um, but I think at that age I questioned, okay, well, why can't I tell my parents?
Hmm.
Or if this is meant to be something that's happening. And there is a memory roaming around my head where I did very early on say to my parents, at least one of them, um, so and so was doing this. And but it was like a mumble, it wasn't an outright statement. So I don't think it was picked up.
Hmm.
children mumble and they talk to themselves and all of that. Having a daughter now, she just has conversations with herself and with her friends, her toys and stuff like that. So I could see how it could have been missed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was those kinds of situations and the statements that were being made that made me think, okay, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
This should not be happening.
Now, just today was the first time in our pre-chat, that I learned how old you were when this first started. Is that something that you are comfortable sharing?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it started when I was 5,
Mm-hmm. So at five
and I
years,
remember it. I remember it because I hadn't started primary school yet.
mm-hmm, that's really interesting, your emotional intelligence. Because at 5 years, you're like,
Mm,
mm, don't share, don't tell anybody. This, something's not right here.
yeah, and I mean, my dad, right?
Yes.
So it's the preparedness. Like he was
Mm,
always saying to us, like, don't get in cars with strangers and don't do all of the things that parents say. And if somebody says things like this to you, like it was all throughout the childhood, I just didn't feel as though I could say anything.
mm. And so, how did that experience shape the way you saw yourself as a child?
I do not think I ever saw myself as a child.
Wow. Okay, unpack that. I, you have to help me understand that. What that means.
So, like when you sent me the questions and I had a glance through them, that was the one question that I got stuck on for a very long time, and I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was ever a moment in my childhood when I thought, oh, I am a child. I need to act like a child.
Hmm.
I I just thought I was existing. I was here.
Mm-hmm.
I was where I was. So I was in on the campus. I was in primary school, and I was just being who I was.
Hmm.
Once that started happening, I and this came to me when I was probably about 16 or 17, and I was asking myself why things were happening at that time in my life. And it's something that I still believe today. Because of that experience, I shied away from everything that was masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't play with the boys in my class. This was at like first year, second year. So that's what um, kindergarten and nursery into year one kind of thing. I mean, at least after the UK standards, anyway, of education. But I started to socialize more with the girls in my class,
Mm-hmm.
and that socialization just never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So even up to now, I have probably like 3 males in my life that I would say, oh yeah, I would call them a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's excluding my brother because he is one of my best friends. Um, but I don't form friendships with men very easily. There's
Mm-hmm.
a trust thing there that I can't give that trust.
Mm-hmm. Well, so yeah, so you've not just touched a little bit on how you saw yourself as a child, but how you see yourself now. Um,
Mm,
I guess I think there's some things, some questions rather, that may touch on what you're saying now. But if I can just
mhm.
stay here a little bit with regards to the experience, and I think you might have hinted this before, were there signs that others missed? And maybe signs that you believe are important that people, you know, take notice of in a child who may be silently suffering.
So I didn't know that I was suffering.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was almost a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say to be careful of as parents is to be extremely careful of the people you let into your orbit
Mm-hmm.
as a parent. Be even more careful as to the people you let into the orbit of your children.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely fine for you to have grown-up friends, but they don't need to be in the orbit of your kids. Children are beings that need to be protected at all costs because of the developmental impact
Mm-hmm.
that relationships and conversations have on them. We think that kids don't hear and don't understand, but they hear everything
Mm-hmm.
because they're little sponges and they absorb all of the energies. Because I was on the campus, because we were on the campus, it was just, I think it was taken for granted
Yeah. Yeah.
that everything and everyone that came onto the campus was safe because it was a Christian campus. And it speaks to exactly what's happening in the world now with the alternative lifestyles being blamed for so much harm being caused to children, whereas nobody from an alternative lifestyle did anything to me, ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was somebody who was training to be a minister, who
Hmm.
was training to be a pastor, who was
Wow.
studying theology, who should have known better, or who should have been tested before getting into any kind of theology program or pastoral program to be able to then say, you are not fit for purpose for this role.
Yeah.
Because I can say right now, I'm called by God to be anointed. How do you know that I'm called by God? Because I say that I'm called to God, by God. It's an it's this just unconditional trust
Mm-hmm.
that the Christian community has for its own and not for anyone else.
Mm.
And that is the warning sign.
Listen, man, you have to come back to the pod, Mike, okay? Because we have to talk. We have to have an entire topic, an entire show dedicated to some of the things you just said right there. You know, it's such a because I have two boys. You know, I have kids. They're all grown now, but there's so much responsibility that we have as parents and just as
Mm,
citizens, as people,
mm,
as human beings. When children are in our orbit, I tell people
absolutely.
all the time, it's not just because you grew up in a faith community or whatever community that you may have.
Mm,
The most common factor is the human heart.
absolutely.
And human hearts are deceitful above all things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my words. That's what the word says. And it's not name calling. It's identifying the fact that it doesn't matter who you are or how safe you think you are. If people around, people.
Exactly.
People.
Exactly. Yep.
We're gonna be back.
That is exactly it.
We're gonna be back in a moment. Do you have an opinion, experience, or reflection you'd like to share? Your say is your space to speak your truth. Send us a pre-recorded voice note for a chance to be featured on the podcast. Whether it's a personal story, a lesson you learned, an insight that needs to be heard, or your thoughts on the show itself, this is your opportunity to be part of the conversation. How to participate? Click on the Your Say tab at the top of the website. Record your voice note. Keep it concise and clear. Enter your details to complete your submission and tune in to the podcast. Your voice might be featured on an upcoming episode. Because your voice matters, this is Your Say. What were some of the ways you coped as a child, even if just to make it through each day?
I gave 100% into everything that I was doing. So I threw my body, my mind, and my soul into whatever activity it was, which is why I was always over the top. So if I was playing with my friends, I would be in it and my mind would be immersed and my imagination would be there. If I was doing, I was always very average at schoolwork because what is the point of this? How is this going to better me in life?
Mm-hmm.
So it was always more about the social side of things for me. School then, work now. So it was about the relationships that I was creating with the people around me. So I threw myself into that. Then in church, it was the music side of things. I wanted to belong. So I learned everything that I could about the voice and singing and stuff like that. And I remember practicing more than everybody else just to be able to do certain things with my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just that hyper activity and hyper vigilance into blocking what was the reality and becoming then part of what I was doing in the present, so I didn't have to think about what was happening outside.
Hmm. Hmm. Man, you're doing so many things to me when you answer these questions because I've known you so long, right? And then I think about who you are now and the way you are
Mm,
now, and it's interesting how these experiences shape, you know, like for instance, I'm
mm,
thinking about how successful you are now. You're I don't know if I was necessarily allowed. Well, I shouldn't say use the word allowed. I didn't know if it was necessarily okay to ask this, but like the job that you have, the role that you play.
mhm.
Can you talk about that a little bit? So
I
maybe
can, yeah,
as a
I
segue,
can.
people could just tell us a little bit about your role, what kind of work you do.
So, okay, in my grown-up boring life, uh,
What? That's not boring, man.
so I am a civil servant. I work in procurement. It just so happens that I am a civil servant for the Ministry of Defence in the UK.
Hmm.
So I am in one of the organizations within there, and I work on the contracts, um, which could be purchasing anything from boots on the ground to Wi-Fi. As part of this role and part of my development into where I am now, I was also the manager for all of the procurement staff that were deployed around the world. Um, so managing them as well as delivering things that the troops on the ground need. It's very interesting. I am a nerd by trade.
By trade. A nerd by trade. I guess only a nerd would say that, right? Nerd by
Exactly.
trade.
I like reading and I like understanding the requirements, and then
Hmm.
law and stuff has always been kind of interest to me, and understanding the right way to do something and the wrong way. So it's leading those conversations and then influencing senior leaders like one, two, and three-star generals to understand what we can and can't do within that sphere. Because I am I am in a space where the hierarchy is broken, so I have access to these senior people. So yeah, I find it very interesting. Some people might find it extremely boring.
So I guess I should ask a deeply personal question for me.
Yes.
Despite the close relationship that Canada and the UK, has, should I be concerned that if you ever get upset with me, that you can call people to, should maybe, because if you could answer that live here, people can, would hear. So if they know, something happened to me because Dylan was upset, they know, hey man, Dylan called his people and
So I can answer that here right now. If if
I'm,
I were
now
upset
I'm
with you,
worried that you're actually going to answer the question.
I mean, you asked it. So, I mean, if I was upset with you, I wouldn't need to call people.
Okay.
Like I've been through enough therapy and I've been through enough life stuff to ring you up and say, CJ, I didn't like what you did.
Oh,
How you take whatever I'm throwing into your garden, that has nothing to do with my business. That's your business.
you do love me,
I set my
Dylan.
boundaries.
You do
Of
love
course I
me.
do.
Okay.
I do.
For a moment, I thought, you call some five-star general, then they call his people. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in a dark room.
I will say this though, through this job, I have a lot of contacts,
Hmm.
which is which is in a very nice place to be because I always wanted to be one of those people who could call and say, oh yeah, well I know this person and blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
I have a wide network of contacts.
So I guess this is a good getting back on track. I'm sorry I got distracted, Dylan. Getting back on
Yeah, that was
track.
your fault, not mine.
Was there a turning point where you decided I won't let this define me anymore?
Yes,
Hmm.
that was in 2015. So that was like years after I left
Wow.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
So I think if we go back and we shape everything. So the abuse happened until I was about 12, and then the abuser then became a pivotal role part to play, had a pivotal part to play in me being bullied by people who I was around
Hmm.
by identifying and calling out my me being more effeminate in like very public things, in very public situations. Um, and that affected me. I started singing with you guys when I was 14,
Hmm.
um, and practically left home because I was in your house every other week
Hmm.
for the weekend. Um, because we had rehearsals on the Friday night. We would minister on the Saturday/Sunday, and then I would go home on the Monday when after school,
Hmm.
after Pops took me to school. Um, and in those instances, like when I was part of the group, I was protected
Hmm.
because I there were a number of people around. You know, I had Jason as the one of the tenors, and then um, I think there was another tenor. I can't remember, um, but in that group, I was protected. But when I had to go up and do a solo,
Hmm.
it was something else. You know, there'd be the name calling or the snickering as I stood up and walked up to the platform
Hmm.
to then start singing. And all of those things really affected me because it was still verbal abuse or it was still bullying, even though I was going up to minister. And at some point between 14 and 21, my perspective of that changed where I was like, I don't really care what you say about me. Well, it didn't happen at 14, maybe let's say 16 to 21. I don't really care what you think about me as I walk up to sing because I know as soon as I open my mouth, And once the music starts and I open my mouth to sing, it shuts everybody down
Mm-hmm.
because they can't deny what's coming out of my mouth at that point. And that was, now that I understand it, it was my brain reinforcing my ability to shut people up.
Mm.
And it was that kind of psychological switch. Okay, I don't care what you say about me when I stand up and I walk up to this platform, because when I start singing, it is a repeated pattern that then people say, oh my gosh, I don't know where that voice comes from, blah, 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 and all of the kind of things that I've heard before. In 2013, I suffered a psychological break. I woke up paralyzed, completely paralyzed, head to foot paralyzed
Mm.
one morning. Nick and I were married, and she called the doctor, um, and I was hospitalized for 2 weeks on a psychological ward. Nobody could find anything physically wrong with me. My local general practitioner, he diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder
Mm-hmm.
as a result of having done work with prisoners who he'd seen have similar symptoms to mine. Um, so I went through therapy for that, prescribed therapy. And it was in that, during those therapy sessions, that I was like, do you know what? I'm not actually going to let this define who I am
Mm-hmm.
anymore. It can't. Because at that up to that point, I had recorded my first EP. I was touring the UK to do it. And in the middle of that, I stopped because I developed severe stage fright, couldn't sing anything, couldn't even stand up in front of a crowd. So all of that got stopped. And music was one of the most important parts of me. You know, I linked it so much to my identity. Um, and it was during that therapy session where I started to accept me for me and the unicorn that I am because of my life experiences. It was something that I had to go through to become the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my spiritual journey started.
Hmm. Interesting. So would you say that that was the first time you had a sense of hope or safety, or did you have moments of feeling
Uh,
hopeful and safe before that?
um, I had moments of like feeling safe when I met Nick,
Hmm.
and when our relationship and our friendship started to blossom. It was three of us. It was Nick, Gemma, and I. We formed this friendship group, and with the two of them, I found who I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt safe because I would have these moments where life would just get too much and I would just need to remove myself from everything, lock myself in my room. Um, and they would be the only two people that would check on me. I have since realized that I am hyper aware and I am hyper vigilant in my everyday life because my brain is trying to protect my body from any kind of trauma like what I experienced. So I
Mm-hmm.
am always on high alert. I can never I can never relax. So my cortisol levels are high and all of that stuff. And after understanding and accepting me for who I am, it's I feel safer now. The the bullying tones still they're still there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's now more become like my inner saboteur. So every time I go up on stage or every time I put a video out on social media or on anything where people have to see me, there is something at the back of my brain that says, yes, but they're going to look at you in this way and they're going to say this about you and you're not good enough. And all of those things that happened when I was like 14 to 16, they come back in, and it's a constant struggle because I know what I'm meant to do with my life. It's not just meant to be within like working just for the Ministry of Defense and going to a day job and coming home and then just being that person. I know that it's meant for something more because I can see the progression of my creative journey, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. You were talking about the voices that you have joined in,
Hmm.
chorus, negative voices,
Yes.
and it reminded me of some of the experiences I have at times where I do that.
Hmm.
I join those negative voices. Well, but let's stay on the healing journey. Let's stay
Yeah.
there. What has healing looked like for you? Messy, slow, surprising? You've sort of talked about that so far, but what has the healing journey been like for you?
Oh my God, healing is a messy. Anybody who tells you that it's a straight line from the open wound to like being fully functional is lying. I can 100% say that because there are days when I wake up and I'm like, again, like we've got to do this again. And there are days when I wake up and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's another day. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful that everybody who I meet today will have the opportunity to meet me. And I can reframe the bad into the good. Um, but and those days they stack up quite quickly. But there are a couple of days in the middle where I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, how? How does anybody just pick themselves up? Um, I have a lot of tools that help
Hmm.
me. Um, I use frequencies quite a lot. So, like, okay, so I am a very spiritual person,
Hmm.
right? I mean, this is probably the best segue into my healing journey. I am not religious. I need to make that distinction because a lot of people mistake religious for spiritual. I do not align to any religious organization
Hmm.
currently in my life. I believe that there is something greater than us that has destined our paths, and we need to align to that something greater so that we can then fulfill those elements that we are destined for. Music is one of the tools that we've been given to help us and our bodies heal. So I use frequencies quite a lot. I listen to them more than I would listen to like music that's on the radio,
Hmm.
um, because they align so much better with the Earth's natural frequencies. I do grounding, so I go out into my back garden barefooted and I just stand and absorb the frequencies of the Earth in the sunshine. And it's so incredible to me how different I feel when I do that, compared to 5 minutes before when I'm just stuck in like a gloom headspace. I try to get out every morning or every day to do at least a 45-minute walk where I just am present. What does that mean? It means that every breath that I take, I'm tracking it going in and out. I'm listening to the birds sing and I'm just aware of my surroundings. And just 15 minutes of that being outside, it changes my perspective so much in terms of why me? Why am I doing this? Do I need to do this again? Until I am actually grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. And there's also journaling, which helps. Um, and then like diet.
Hmm.
So I try to juice every morning, um, which is just like getting the nutrients in your body that your body needs, and then moving, um, walking or some kind of thing like that, as opposed to lying in a dark room.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not, it's slow,
Mm-hmm.
the healing, but it is coming. And I also research quite a lot. I read, I expand my view of various things. I look into why things are the way that they are, so that I can be better informed as to what's going on in my body, in my brain, and also in the wider space of post-traumatic stress disorder. And um, this is not necessarily medical things that I'm reading. Yes, I will understand the medical elements of it, but I was prescribed anti-anxiety meds for 7 years. It completely numbed me as a person, as a human. I couldn't feel things as I should. So I weaned myself off of them. And that's where all of these naturalistic remedies and stuff that I've researched and looked into have started to help.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and thank you, man. That and you said, well, you said that's messy,
It
but
is, but it is it's just not a, it's not like a straight line, you know?
yeah, yeah,
It's like a heartbeat.
yeah.
There's ups, downs, there's days where my hypervigilance gets the better of me and
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't be, and I am so grateful that I have a partner who understands as much as Nick understands, because she is the greatest asset to my life that I could have ever asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because she she gives me that space to just not.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And you can't always find a partner like that,
Yeah.
you know? Um, because I remember when we were younger, there were all of these like, and in church, there were all of these seminars on how to attract a partner. And you pray for this and you pray for that and whatever. I think you have to be the person that you want to be to attract the person that you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't attract the person that you want without being that person or understanding what it is you have to offer. And
Mm-hmm.
that is the one thing that's missing from all of those seminars. Write down what you want and then write down what you offer to
Mm-hmm.
the person. And yeah, I'm just very grateful and I'm very blessed in that regard.
I'm grateful for her too, man. Tell her thank you for me.
I
Tell
will.
her, tell her to listen to the pod and to fast forward to this point right here where I say thank you. Many survivors carry shame that doesn't belong to them. What helped
Mm,
you break free from that?
not owning it.
Hmm.
It's not mine.
Yeah,
It happened to me.
yeah.
It happened to me, but it also happened for me. It happened for me to grow, for me to empathize, for me to become the person that I am today. But it definitely has nothing to do with me. And I refuse to carry it around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's something, listen, man, there's something powerful about not, there's something powerful about washing off people's ugly that they throw on us.
Mm,
You know, we got to
absolutely.
take that shower, man, and wash off that ugly,
Like,
man.
absolutely. And you know what? It's water is one of the most cleansing things that we have. Yes, okay, all water is chlorinated and it's got other chemicals inside there. But a simple thing that you can do that I do in the shower every day is, as I'm washing myself, is I am saying I release everything that
Oh,
is attached to me, to my
oh.
physical body, to my spiritual body, to my energetic body. It is no longer whatever does not serve me. I release it in this shower right now, and I accept Only the things that I want to accept, I accept unconditional love. I accept unconditional time to be able to meet my goals. I accept people, places, things, and situations who will uplift me. And that's like a 3 minute thing that you do in the shower. Well, at least I do that in the shower. But it's so cleansing because you can't be taking all the people's energies who you meet outside and then bringing it into your house and then climbing into your bed.
Hmm.
And then
Ugh.
it just weighs you down.
That is, listen, I always have a my moment when I'm doing an
Mhm.
interview. That was mine. Thank you. No, that was powerful, man. I needed to hear that. You
I'm
have a
glad.
way with words, and you have a way of describing things through practical. Like you take practical uh steps. I don't I'm lost for words. I don't even know how to describe what I'm trying to say right now. You know, you're very immersive.
Mm,
You know,
it's the only way that I
uh,
understand it.
I just love you, man.
Yay, I love you too.
So I guess this is a good. I'm going into the to this faith, purpose, and identity. And you've touched on it. You probably answered this question already because in some of the powerful things you've said, I was going to ask you. So if you have anything else to add, by all means. But I was going to ask you, how has your view of God or faith, impacted or challenged or deepened you through this experience? But you already talked about that spiritual side of you, your
Mm,
spirituality, which is different from religion. And man, we could talk about that sometime because geez,
absolutely. That's a whole other podcast
yeah,
there.
that's
Um, there was always something that wasn't right,
mm,
you know? It didn't feel right. The music felt right. The emotion felt right. The rituality of it felt forced. Um, and there are some people who live for the ritual
yeah,
side of things.
yeah,
Um, but the ritual side of things without the emotion or the understanding of what you're doing, that's just to me that doesn't make any sense. And so
hmm
when I and I didn't decide not to be a Seventh Day Adventist because of what happened to me, right? I think I need to make that clear
hmm
because there is a very large percentage of people who associate leaving a specific religious group with something bad that has happened.
hmm
That's not me. I've questioned this all the time. When I joined CJ and Lucky as a background vocalist, the experience that I got excuse me, um, from that period of time further made me question why. So, why is it just Saturday? Why do we do these things? Why is this the only way? Is this the only way? And that's where more of my interest was piqued into the spiritual. Is it that wrong for us not to do the research, not to dig? And I'm at the point now where I there is I don't know how to explain it. My spiritual relationship with the creator, call it whatever you want to call it, is so deep that synchronicities happen for me all the time because I'm constantly connected,
hmm
you know? And that is a conscious decision that I made in 2015 to get closer to whatever source was. And I'm not in a space where I judge people for what they believe because I can't judge you for something that has been ingrained in you that you can't help. Your actions tell me exactly who you are. Your words don't. So if you're saying that I love you, I love you, I love you, but your actions don't prove to me you love me, then your words are futile because your actions are saying to me nothing. And I release you with love. You don't need to be in my space. You don't need to be in my energy. You're not worthy of my time and energy. This entire experience has allowed me to deepen my understanding of creator, source, God, two, to understand my purpose here, and we can talk about that another time, but also to understand my value
Mm-hmm.
outside of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because we attach so much of our value to other people, places, things, situations, and all kinds of stuff that we have no business attaching our value to.
Mm-hmm.
My value is to the source, and that's that alone. So to be in my space, I allow you entry into my space. If you disrespect my space, then I refuse you entry into my space. And that's just setting boundaries. And that is something that a lot of behavioral therapists are now saying is healthy. Well, it's not healthy, it's just right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have no boundaries, then you allow everybody to do anything to you without any recourse to any kind of repercussions. And people's actions have repercussions, especially when it comes to me, because I've been in that situation where I was helpless and defenseless, but I'm not helpless and defenseless anymore. So that little boy, I can love him and I can care for him and I can nurture him and I can say to him that he's loved and protected all the time to help this man now understand
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, so many things in my mind. We can unpack. There are layers to this,
Mm,
layers and layers. You have to come back, okay? Because we have. I'm already thinking about so many other topics that we have to touch on. You have to come back because I we just don't have the time, man. Um,
that's all right. I'll be back.
what
Just tell me
role?
when.
What role then? Based on what what you've just shared, what role does forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others play in all of this healing?
I think forgiveness is a huge part of it because forgiveness allows us to move on. Okay, people generally say forgive but don't forget. Well, I want to forgive you and I want to forget because I don't want to hold that trauma in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to develop cancer because I've chosen not to forget the nonsense that you did to me. And
Mm-hmm.
then my spleen or something else is now cancerous because of all of that trauma. I 100% believe that our bodies hold and store trauma in
Mm-hmm.
there. That's why we have pain and that's why we have suffering and a lot of things. And this is something that the esoteric teachings that I have been researching over the years has confirmed, from Taoism to Buddhism and Hinduism. All of these things talk about releasing the physical elements of pain and suffering from the body, but it's things that we have forgotten to do as we progress through time. But in terms of me forgiving the person or forgiving anybody, I release them with love. I have nothing else to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time where I couldn't think about forgiveness because I felt you robbed me so gravely of the childhood that I could have had. Would I have been into sports? Would I have been into whatever? But you know what? That's just a waste of the person that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't, though. Like the what ifs of life just don't matter because it's just a waste of time as opposed to thinking about what is now and the person that I can be now. And I have to force myself to be present, one for myself, two for my daughter, and for my partner, and just for source, with the creator, because anything else is just a waste of time. I wrote a letter to my abuser during therapy and we burnt it. I read it out loud. It was very emotional. Did it help me heal? Yes. Um, and I don't ever need to say to that person that I forgive them. I've said it to the universe, I've said it to source, and I have to remind myself, not every day, but sometimes when those memories come back into my head. Oh yeah, but I've forgiven you. I've released you. Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's identifying where in my body I feel those things
Hmm.
and then releasing them again. I had a situation recently at work, and that one's taken me a little bit longer to release because I didn't realize that it was a bullying thing that happened, and I had to go through those same steps again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing again. I forgive you. I want to forget you. And not like I want to forget you, I do forget you. So bye with love, whatever kind of love you want to attach to it. It's an appreciation of the fact that you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no deeper than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were going through the different, you know, religions or
Hmm.
spaces that hold this principle, and the visual I got was Gethsemane.
Yeah,
I mean, if that isn't release, if if that isn't release, then I don't know what is. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, I think we all have to have our Gethsemane moments where
mm,
we are alone and we're letting it out. We're releasing.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the physical manifestation of that will be tears of blood.
Yes. Yeah.
That is what release looks like. It is not pretty.
Hmm.
So anybody who says, oh, it was a beautiful moment, okay, yes, you can look back at childbirth and say it was a beautiful moment, but your body remembers that it was not a beautiful moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's relative. This, yeah, beautiful in the grand scheme of of things.
Absolutely.
Um.
But in the moment, it is not pretty.
Hmm.
And it has to not be pretty because something has to be broken for it to be made beautiful. If you think of like, and it goes back to the very cliche, how is a diamond formed?
Hmm.
That stone is broken and burned and chipped apart to get this tiny sparkling thing that everybody then loves. It's not a pretty thing, and it can't be a pretty thing, that journey.
Looking back, how do you see yourself now compared to that little boy that endured so much?
Oh my God, night and day.
Hmm.
I mean, one, because I'm older and prettier, but I mean, it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, I ain't arguing with that. I mean,
um, but he was scared of everything.
oh,
He mastered. He mastered because,
yeah.
like, growing up in the Caribbean, it's always look perfectly, or when you leave the house, don't let people know what's happening behind closed doors. All business is all business, so keep that behind the closed doors. So when you go out, you plaster a smile on your face. Don't embarrass me. Those are the lessons that I grew up with. Those are still things that I take into my everyday life.
Hmm.
Don't let people know that you're suffering. Which is why you don't remember or you never saw a Dylan that was
Mm.
suffering
Hmm.
because you weren't ever allowed behind that curtain.
Yeah.
Nobody was, you know? Um, and that is now completely rewritten and reframed into I want people to know that I'm having a bad day, but it doesn't inform the way that I'm going to treat you.
Hmm.
I am struggling today, but I will still love you. I will still smile. I will still be able to help you as a person, as a human, but it won't be me being angry or vicious to you for absolutely no reason.
We're gonna take another break, man. We're gonna come back. Um, That is powerful. It's beautiful.
You're listening to Well-Being with CJ Harrell.
Do you have an opinion, experience, or reflection you'd like to share? Your say is your space to speak your truth. Send us a pre-recorded voice note for a chance to be featured on the podcast. Whether it's a personal story, a lesson you learned, an insight that needs to be heard, or your thoughts on the show itself, this is your opportunity to be part of the conversation. How to participate? Click on the Your Say tab at the top of the website. Record your voice note. Keep it concise and clear. Enter your details to complete your submission and tune in to the podcast. Your voice might be featured on an upcoming episode. Because your voice matters, this is Your Say. What do you wish someone told you or had told you when you were a child living through this experience?
It gets better.
Hmm.
Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just it's not always going to be this way
Mm-hmm.
because it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I felt stuck in Trinidad because it's so small. And I always wanted to be one of those people that could leave. And then when I left, I was like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Like there's so much more than here than there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I mourn the musical connections. I
Mm-hmm.
mourn them.
And the doubles.
Um,
Sorry, darling.
I mean,
Sorry. I
like
should not. I should not have done
food is
that.
a whole other episode, CJ. Why are you gonna do that to me
Yeah, I
like
know.
that this
When it
early
came
on a
out,
Saturday morning?
when it came out, man, then it's only after I realized. You know.
I mean, yeah, okay, I mourn the food. Like that's an everyday thing, you know. And I mourn the connections with music and where I was when I left because it was a good place. Um, but yeah, it gets better.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So then, okay, so then what would you say to someone listening right now who might be still carrying that kind of pain in silence?
In silence.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I just got goosebumps because silence is a perspective.
Hmm. See, you're doing it again, man.
Silence.
You gotta unpack these things, all right? Make sure you unpack it. Say it, but unpack it.
I will. Okay, so in silence can be either you keeping it from someone or you keeping it from yourself
Wow.
or you keeping it from God, source, universe.
Hmm.
So those would be my three elements of silence.
Mm-hmm.
What does silence mean to you? You need to define.
Mm-hmm.
If you are silent about it to yourself and to the universe, then those would be the first two that you need to look at. There's acknowledgement of what's happened or happening. And then there is later on, there is acceptance of what is happening, but not acceptance that you are the victim. Acceptance that something is or has happened to you / for you.
Hmm.
To you without your consent, for you to make you better
Mm-hmm.
or to make you what you are becoming.
So this experience has the potential. It has all the.
Every
Mm-hmm.
experience has a potential.
How do you want your story to inspire or challenge others? Hearing.
CJ, what are these questions?
I'm sorry, man. I just have two more.
Jeez. Um, I would like people to, I would like everyone to think for themselves about themselves for at least 15 minutes after hearing this story
Hmm.
to determine whether or not all of the experiences that they've ever been through was something that happened to them or happened for them.
Hmm.
If your story is similar to mine, then I would encourage you to reframe. Now, the power of a reframe is unfathomable. It is so limitless. In terms of the reframe is, yes, that happened for me to be able to empathize with people in my current life or anybody else that I will ever meet along my journey. That is the reframe
Hmm.
from, oh, this happened to me and I'm now a victim. I have to carry this shame with me forever. Do you see the
Hmm.
difference in those two statements? The power of the reframe allows me to be the powerful party in that scenario.
Hmm.
Whereas I can I could have chosen to be the victim and allow the shame to be brought along with me for the rest of my life. But then it would have been a massive baggage that I have to carry, and I am heavy enough without like a massive suitcase
Hmm.
dragging behind me
Hmm.
with shame in it. It's not a good look.
Hmm. So okay. So if you could write a letter to your younger self, what's one sentence you'll include?
I thought about this. um, and it is probably going to be, I love you through all the storms that you are facing and through all
Mm,
the storms that you will be facing.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I still love
love
you.
you. Yeah. What does healing mean to you today, darling?
It means love. It means acceptance. It means overcoming. It means waking up for another sunrise.
That's beautiful. I've got my rapid fire questions that I try to ask every guest that I have. Um, but before I get into those questions, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man, for sharing
Anytime.
and for
For
coming.
you, anytime. Nobody else.
Listen, careful what you say, you know. When I call you, don't say no, you know. Don't say no. Don't say, yeah, I'm actually on my way to a musical rehearsal right now. You have to drop everything, Dylan. You have to drop okay, no, I'm not that. I need to learn. Okay, CJ, learn from some of the things he said today. It's not all about you.
Oh, it is.
Boundaries. Boundaries. What makes you happy?
Life.
What are you most grateful for?
My family.
I was gonna say your daughter. I was gonna say your daughter. But I mean,
Yes.
quote unquote, she's so cute. What's your philosophy for life?
Love and acceptance of everyone and everything.
Okay, I have to pause on that one, man. That yeah, yeah. How would you define success?
Where I am today, this moment in time.
Mm, mm, okay, okay. Because that impacts everything else, man.
Absolutely.
What new things are you learning?
I don't know. I've not learned them yet.
Okay, okay.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning everything that I know about life. So I'm just open to it all.
So you're growing and you're persisting in growing, eh?
Absolutely. Like life is nothing if not an everlasting lesson.
What is the most life-altering lesson you've learned?
That I am enough
Yeah,
as I am.
yeah. What are you most passionate about?
Ooh. So I am most passionate about just being.
Okay, okay. I was gonna say
It
it.
could be I'm most passionate about music, or I'm most passionate about my family, and most passionate about a lot of things.
Mhm.
But I'm most passionate just about being,
It-
existing
yeah.
right now.
I was smiling to myself because as I asked the question, I realized I'm asking a creative this question.
Exactly.
So let me wait to hear what he's gonna say. Uh, what is your biggest priority right now?
Life.
Okay. What is one thing you would like people to know?
About me or just about anything?
What is one thing you would like people to
Oh,
know?
CJ, you and these questions.
I'm sorry, man.
One thing I would like people to know. Acceptance does not come with judgment. And you cannot say you fully accept someone or something if you are still judging that thing or that person for being or existing.
Mercy. Dylan, I love you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending these moments with me, man. And the
No
listeners.
problem.
I look forward to having
Not
you
a problem.
back. And listeners, listen, send us send us what you desire to hear us talk about next, via the Your Say segment. You could click on the Your Say tab of my website. Because we touched on so much, man. And you and I have so many interesting... Matter of fact, we're probably going to have some, I don't know, a
Mhm.
conversation after this. I don't know. But thanks again for showing
Yes.
up on the
Anytime.
Wellbeing Podcast.
You're listening to Wellbeing with CJ Harrell. Straight ahead, final thoughts.
Some stories change you just by hearing them. My friends, courage today isn't just in surviving what happened, but in choosing to live beyond it, to love, to create, to lead, to inspire. If this episode stirred something in you, know this: silence does not have to be the end of your story. Healing is possible, hope is real, and you're not alone. Thank you for listening to Surviving the Silence. If this conversation brought value to you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that brokenness is not the final chapter. Restoration is. Remember to keep choosing life, keep choosing wholeness, and keep your heart open to the beauty that can rise from the ashes. If anything we've shared today speaks to you, consider this your invitation. Grow with us, heal with us. Don't just listen, lean in, join the Wellbeing family. Share the podcast and help this message reach someone who needs it, maybe more than you know. Let's make well-being more than a conversation. Let's make it a movement. There's space for you here. I'm better with you. Thanks for listening. Stay tender, stay courageous. Until